China is considered second after US in terms of AI innovations and model development. And I know that you are closely tracking AI progress in China. So can you give us a brief overview on where does China stand versus US in terms of AI innovations, and what are some of the areas in which China is actually ahead of US?
Right. So when we wrote our first book, Solomon's Code, Mark Nitzberg and I, in 2018, we found that China, in our estimation, about 5 years behind the United States. And meanwhile, of course, we've had a bit of a revolution there in transformers, right? Large language models, which is a subcategory of deep learning and some other technologies within that sort of grab bag of what we call AI type technologies. And with that greater focus on both large language models as well as the underlying compute technology, also driven by restrictions on compute technology, meaning chips, by the United States, China has actually invested tremendously in that underlying compute infrastructure and the AI that sits on top of it. And I would now second what Joe Tsai, the co-founder of Alibaba, said just this year, I believe, that China is about 2 years behind the United States. The other area that China is starting to forge into is open source AI, because with more and more restrictions coming from the United States, China is trying to create its own capabilities and try to get away from U.S. code base, as it were. China may be restricted in getting access to AI power on U.S.-based cloud platforms and hyperscaler platforms such as AWS and Azure and Google Cloud, and that just means China has to continue its own path with its own both proprietary and open source AI, but particularly open source AI is something that will be of interest to the Chinese because it often relies on less data, on smaller models that can be run on less high-end chips, right? Imagine restrictions on GPUs from Nvidia, obviously putting a bit of a restriction on how China can develop and train artificial intelligence models. And so they're now forging ahead, investing in their own infrastructure and their own models, smaller models that can be run on less sophisticated chips.